In a previous video, I showed how Linux container runtimes don't set up supplementary groups correctly, leading to a security vulnerability. This vulnerability can be fixed in any of several places, including the low-level runtime, for example runc and crun, the high-level runtime, like podman and cryo, and maybe elsewhere. It's therefore not trivial to work out whether a particular system is actually vulnerable. For this reason, I've created a container image that does an end-to-end test and can be run directly or within a platform like Kubernetes. It checks whether the vulnerability exists and reports the result in logs and on a web page. Here's the image running in the current version of Docker, which has not yet fixed this vulnerability. The image exposes the web server on port 8080, so we map this to the local port 8081. We run the container interactively to see the output and also set it to automatically delete itself when it stops. The image itself is hosted on Docker Hub and is available for both AMD 64 and ARM 64. When it runs, we can see that it has correctly identified that the runtime is vulnerable, but what if we don't have easy access to the logs? We can also open a web browser and see the result, as well as some status information showing the user ID, primary group ID, and the supplementary groups. We know the system is vulnerable because the primary group ID, 101, is not included in the supplementary group list, like it should be. Now, let's test the vulnerability with cryo, which was the first container runtime to release a fix in version 1.25. Cryo is mainly designed to be run by a platform like Kubernetes, so it isn't as simple to run a container when compared to something like Docker. First, we need to pull the image from Docker Hub. Then we need to set up the sandbox, create the container, including specifying that it should run as user 101, start the container, and look at the logs. We can see that cryo has fixed this vulnerability. We can also expose the website in port 8082, then open this in the web browser and see that now the primary group ID is included in the supplementary group list, showing that the vulnerability has been fixed. Finally, to clean up, we stop and remove the sandbox.